the 19th all of a sudden. Alright. I feel amazing about this. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna jump into this madness. Jump into the madness, he said. Yes. Welcome. This is Art of Rock. That's Rezzy's cat. Every Saturday, please join us here for Art of Rock on Angelspit's Twitch. I think this time is correct. Daylight saving is fuddled with my little brain. I think it's 6 p.m. in Berlin. I have no idea, but 9 a.m. LA time, 12 noon New York time. We're just going to talk about all sorts of crazy stuff. This is made possible with Angelspit's Patreon, and I thank y'alls for helping me out and keeping me going, because you keep me going and you're amazing. Angelspit's got a new track with Queen of the Static Opera called Breathing But Not Alive. It's on Bandcamp. Go get it. There's a new track from Belle Noire from The Grim Life of Hack, and it's on Spotify. Go listen. It will fuck with your brain. Go like that shit because it's awesome. There's a whole bunch of bands. We've made a playlist that we want you to be part of, and we want you to like it because you'll find a new fun band on that. That's also on Spotify. Come on, guys. Stop hating on Spotify. Go find something amazing, and if you're in the mood for finding more amazing stuff, MTV TV, from whence we shall be rating to after this. Your new favorite band is waiting for you, and it is. It really is. And hi, Diana. You're everywhere. You are the omnipotent Diana. Okay, let's just jump right into this. Kerry, ask me your amazing question, my dear friend. Go.
Okay, thank you. I'm wanting to connect Mini Brute 2S to the Moog grandmother, and not by connecting it by syncing by timing, clocking, or such, but by the actual wires. So
audio.
Jumping one instrument to audio?
Yeah, you're using audio, right? We're going audio output of the Brute to audio input of the Moog. No?
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay. Well, I've got some questions about the Brute because I'm not completely familiar with it. My first question is the Brute, does it have individual output for the oscillators, or is it just like master output?
I do believe individual outputs.
Really?
I have to look at
for
it.
each oscillator?
I'm not 100%. Not for each oscillator. I have to look.
So it's got a master output. Yeah, don't worry about cracking the thing open. Well, theoretically, this is really easy, and Chris likes retro. Welcome. This is really easy. All you do is you take the output from the Brute and stick it into the audio input of the Moog.
Oh.
The grandmother should have an audio input.
Okay.
So here's something else about Moogs. Is firstly, everybody loves arguing about how you pronounce it. I don't care.
I don't either.
I know, right? And you always get corrected.
Moog, whatever. I don't care. It's awesome.
They go, Moog, Moog, whatever. But the thing about it is that audio input is going to come in at the mixer stage. So on your Moog, there's going to be an external audio input. As you can see on the Voyager behind me. So what you have to do is turn that up, and you might have to make sure that the volume, you might want to have the volume of your little Brute at 80%, and then you might want to make sure that the volume is good, going into your Moog. Remember, Moogs they have a fantastic mixer on it that distorts beautifully and warmly, so you might want to take advantage of that.
Oh, yeah.
Remember also that my brain memory of Moog, I'm going to call it Moog. Fuck yours.
I do too.
Thanks. Yeah. The Moog input is, when you distort it, it's going to favor bass. So be aware of the bass volume of that. And also then it's going to go to the filter. So what you really want to do is put a sound into the Moog, and you're going to be using that delicious Moog filter. I just crossed the Moog. I'm like a Gemini, aren't I? So you're going to want a sound that's rich and full of harmonics. So when the Moog filter bites into it, it's got a lot to bite into. And it will be the most wonderful extra oscillator in there as well. Do you have any questions about what I just said? Because I see hands going up.
No, actually, I'm letting it sink in. I'm thinking, and then if I have any questions, I'm going to revisit the video on YouTube again. But I think I can do this. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
And this goes further, because when you got two really excellent synths like that, there is a whole bunch of shit you can be doing. But I'm not going to get to that just yet. Mark, blow my mind.
Actually, I kind of have a question for Carrie. Do you have a Mini Brute or a Mini Brute 2?
I have both. Actually, I have the Mini Brute 2 and I have a Mini Brute 2S. Oh, I see what you're saying. I have a Mini Brute 2 and a Mini Brute 2S, and then I think it's my brain. Micro Brute. Yeah, we have a Micro Brute, and then I also have a Micro Freak. Yeah. Okay,
I was asking because the Mini Brute 2 has a semi-modular area.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, because that's a little different, I think, from if it were just audio out into the grandmother. Well, it can be a little different. I don't know what the Moog has for inputs.
It's pronounced Moog, Mark.
You call it Moog. And people at music stores...
I'm kidding.
Their noses.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know what the Moogle does.
Sorry, man. This is really important, what you brought up, Mark, because I actually want to touch on this in a bit. But first, here's Razzie.
Hey, there's a lot of places you can plug into it, and it kind of depends on what you want to do, what you're envisioning having happen. You can plug audio into the CVs, you can plug audio into the mixer parts, you can plug audio in before the filter, and you can have it affected in a lot of different ways. But depending on what you actually want to have happen, it might make sense to also get them both triggering at the same time, so that your key presses trigger the ADSRs and stuff like that. And whether you do that with the control voltages or MIDI, it might be a good step to do. I guess the question is, have you gotten them to both instruments to trigger oscillators and envelopes by hitting a key at the same time, or is that in the future?
That's it for in the future. I'm just wanting, I know I can do this, and I want to know what it will make, what kind of sound, and then I want to take off from there, if that makes sense. I want to see what kind of sounds I can get out of it, and I want to experiment.
Well, then I guess, what Carl was saying about getting it before the filter makes the absolute most sense, because that's where you're going to get all the
juice,
distortion, and the real style of the Moog sound is the Bob Moog pronounced it Moog, so I'm going with that. But there are a lot of other ways to plug it in. So just while you're doing it, look for the audio inputs on. I'm looking at a photo of the front of it. That's my cheat sheet. The audio inputs on the mixer and stuff are probably before the filter, and then you can use the knobs to affect the sound. So as long as you've got your first device making sound and the second device also making sound into a mixer, then you can now take the plug that was making sound from the first device, instead plug it into the audio inputs on the Moog, and use the filters.
Okay.
And it should interrupt or be combined with, depending on how you use the mixer part.
Okay.
But definitely look into getting them to trigger at the same time, because some of the real magic next will happen when you press a key on one of them or the other, and things start happening. Actually, either way, but cool.
Thank you.
Razzie brings up a really, really important point, and that is you have to make sure that the Brute is firing, so the audio is coming out of it. And what I would be doing is if it's got a mode, M-O-G-E, as in Depeche, where it is constantly generating audio. For example, you might get the amplifier and turn it all the way up, so it's always going to be generating sound, and then you stick that into the Moog. Then you've got to make sure that they're both receiving MIDI or finger strikes so they're playing the same thing, or that you might not want that. See, what comes to mind immediately is there might be something really fun and crazy you can do, is you make this really high-end, intense sound on the brute, or brote, as it's pronounced. And you, wow, so many forehead slapping just happened then, on the broad, and broach, and you, so that when you open up the the fucking filter on the grandmother, the grandmother, it will actually open up that sound, because normally when the filter's low, it's muffling out, it's filtering out a lot of those, brutisms. But when you open it up, it's going to scream. That could be something super fun. But if you want to really cosmically blow your brains with this machine, start interfacing each other with control voltage.
Okay.
Because the Moog, my memory of the Moog is that the control voltage, what you can do with CV on the grandmother, as far as using MIDI controllers, is not a lot. But the brute, I could be wrong on this, like for example on the Voyager, you can control everything via MIDI. And the Voyager is supremely incredible. I actually think it's fucking, why aren't people peeing their pants over the Voyager? Like, it's so good. But a lot of the other Moogs and that batch of stuff, the sub 32 and all that shit, you could do a lot with controllers. My understanding of the Voyage of the grandmother is you can control filter, and I think that's kind of about it. There might be a few other things, but where I'm going at with this is that I think on the brute you can control a lot more stuff, and that corresponds to control voltage input and output. So either you're pre-programming stuff in MIDI, which is being converted to control voltage, which is fucking up the brute, and then in turn, according to the patching, is fucking up your Moog, or you're just getting in there twitching knobs and stuff like that. But when you've got extra LFOs and extra envelopes and extra all sorts of madness, utilize that madness and go nuts and experiment. And like Resi said, you can even plug audio into CV. The audio has got to be super loud. It's got to be like 5 volts loud. Oh, okay. But even if it's not all that loud, you can still probably get a bit of voltage to fuck with shit a bit. Okay. Does anybody else want to throw in, because this is the beginning of the rabbit hole, Alice? This cable makes you modulate, and this sorry, or robot as it's pronounced. I'm interrupting you. Do you want to say anything amazing, or should I just shut up and let you speak?
It's an instrument level input on the back of the grandmother. I'm now remembering as I'm looking at the photo and how it's labeled. So it's intended for, to plug your guitar in or whatever. There's going to be some interesting effect right from there. But also both of those have USB control and MIDI control and CV gate, I think. So you have a lot of options on how to get them to both trigger the envelope to open at the same time, which is then either controlling the amplifier or the filter, or as Carl was alluding to, make sure that the amp is all the way up and the filter is all the way open, and then play your the brute through the audio instrument input on the back. And I think that'll be your shortcut to then being able to close the filter and get those kind of effects. First thing I'd try, now that I've sort of looked at it.
Okay, and you just struck a thing in my brain. You said guitar. Mm-hmm.
Bass, guitar, microphone. You can plug anything into that instrument input on the back. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, this weekend just turned grand. Thank you so much. I know what I'm going to do rest this weekend.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cool. Good.
I'm going to have James bring out the guitar. Okay. Thanks. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Does anybody else want to throw? And remember also that there's fun things like on vocals and guitars you can do. The Moog's grandmother's got a ring modulator? Question?
Reverb for sure. I didn't see if it had ring mod, but
I don't think it
built-in
does.
spring
I don't.
Well,
Oh my god.
run shit through the spring, and also if you're going to put a you could run a high frequency LFO into the amplifier or the filter of a guitar or a voice, so something's now fast modulating it, so you start generating harmonics, and then you might actually then stick that into an amp and see what you can blow up.
Okay. Thank you. This is going to be a great weekend.
And I thank everybody else. There was some fantasticness in there. Does anybody else
Thank
want to
you,
throw
Craig.
in on this Juice? Or do we want to ask another question of Juice? Oh, God, guys, I hate tumbleweeds so badly. Seriously, nobody has a question. Look, all these amazing brains we have going on here, and no one wants to ask a question. Anyone? So, I'll ask a question. How do you shoot a video when it's just you? Yeah, Rezi, go. How?
Oh man, in a twist of how to answer that, you hit a particularly sensitive and raw current nerve. I just failed to do that, spectacularly or profoundly. I had plans to do not a concept video for this one, but an actual performance video, remote. And, I managed the first part, the planning. I managed the second part, getting the repertoire together. I managed the third part, packing the gear needed, audio interface, computer, microphone stands, guitar, not guitar, in this case. And I managed the logistics part of getting all that stuff across the country and getting a guitar while I was there. And once I was out, my locations failed. It was too cold. I was too far from the next campsite. I was not in, enough seclusion, and I'd be interrupting people doing stuff and making some excuses probably because this was going to be difficult in the couple of locations that I did see. But man, being able to, as an obsessive planner, I guess maybe this is one angle, either see it through the entire way and make sure you've actually remote scouted some locations to land on once you've done all the other things I listed, or don't be like me and be very flexible with where you go and don't mind getting to a place and there's a party going on, join the party, or there's crowded with some visual stuff that clutters the scene the way that you didn't anticipate it. Incorporate that, be flexible on that end. But I can talk a lot more about the how-to about a concept video also, because the last one I did solo. But I want to also take a breath and maybe let Ivan jump in, because I know he's involved in doing this too.
Okay. Ivan, I want to come back to you, Rizzy. This sounds really interesting. Ivan, blow my mind.
Okay, so, the big problem with shooting a music video as a single person is obviously, the big obvious one is how are you going to operate the camera and be in the music video at the same time? That's horrible. You're stuck. I mean, you're using static cameras on tripods, and probably more the better. Like, the more of them you have, the better, because then you can get multiple shots from multiple angles. You're still going to be very static, but at least you're going to have that. And you can paint an X on the floor so you know where to actually be standing, so every camera can get you, or have multiple X's on the floor so like you can move from place where you can be caught in frame to other place you can. It's not an impossibility, it's just really difficult. Also, if you're indoors, this is important, it's got to be indoors. You could use a drone to catch footage. If you are outdoors, though, you need an FAA license to be able to use that footage. And that FAA license is really actually kind of difficult to obtain. Yeah, because you got to essentially take a pilot's test for it and know a lot of pilot stuff. Once you've got that license, though, then you could do it outside. If you do it inside, or if you do it outside without the license, though, oh, they will find you. And they will make your life suck.
Wow.
Yeah, they're hardcore about that. We're probably one of the rare countries in the world where that's a big problem, but it's a big problem. So do it indoors, because then you can just do it. It's not a problem because you have a roof over your head, weirdly enough.
I didn't know that.
The
Go
permitting
ahead.
is pretty easy. The Part 104 quiz is like simple, but it's a formality. You have to register your flights, and any mission that you're going on the FAA needs to know about it, and just it's the commercial versus not commercial. If you're not going to make any money
Yes.
doing it as a hobbyist, fly your heart out. If you're charging money, regulations.
Yeah, they have apparently geeked up the quiz as well.
Great. Awesome. Okay, that's really... I didn't know this stuff. Thank you so much for telling me this. Not that I have a drone, but that's really interesting. Does anybody else want to throw in and offer suggestions about how to shoot a video all by your lonesome? Like, Resi, go.
Specifically for the static shot solutions, there's a lot of relatively inexpensive and rentable camera sliders. It's not the kind of motion where you whip panning and following stuff, but if you block your motion carefully, you can actually program a slider like this to pan to follow you. You can, of course, just have it set doing the second shooter style thing where it's constantly moving the camera a little bit just to get some motion parallax into the shot. Always know your camera's phone app remote software well, because it's going to fail and it's going to not connect, and you're going to find that you're further than Bluetooth range and you won't be able to use your preview monitor unless you get closer. But if you know those limitations in advance, you can plan pretty well to make it work. Get it out in the field and try it a few times. Most camera control apps will work either Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, so you can get some extra range. But hey, now you're in the sunlight, you can't even see the screen, so do you need to have a shade, or do you have an external monitor with a hood on it? And now you're carrying a lot of stuff, so is it going to be in the shot with you while you're doing it? Will you be able to get it out of the shot? Can you hide it behind you? These are blocking considerations. I swear by always having a lot of atom clamps, and those get attached to friction arms, and those can either have cold shoe mounts or regular quarter 20 that attach to everything. But these are great if you need to, say, attach cheap battery source light. You can just slide those together and get some, I don't know, color in the shot. But inexpensive LED lights, relatively affordable friction mounts and atom clamps, and then I think I have... Oh, this actually I just packed. I haven't unpacked from the trip yet, so I happen to have my audio interface and an SM58 and some extra cables in this one. And then, yeah, I mean, a decent travel tripod so that they actually fold up small enough to fit on your backpack is a good way to go. They're not lightweight unless you spend a lot of money, but at least they collapse down to the place where the water bottle would go on your backpack. And most camera bags have a external place for your tripod to go. Lashes on like that. I got a very affordable and seems to be durable Amazon backpack, and I just took the drone out, but the drone goes in the air, camera and lenses and stuff fit in pretty well. By myself, I can carry it on my back.
That's great. That's really cool.
I've been collecting this stuff for about 4 years now for just this like task specific kind of run and gun.
That's great. Ivan, is your hand up or is your hand accidentally up? Because, okay, that's great. My next question is, how about concept? Yeah.
Oh, I come here.
Oh,
I say,
okay.
Carl, Mez, tell me what to shoot. I don't have any ideas. Help me.
Alrighty. That's interesting. It's really interesting that this is the really difficult limitation I find, is that, okay, well, I don't have, but what do I have? And where can I get to? Because I think, I have a phone and I have to use my phone. I don't have a camera. And I've got a few bits and pieces, and I can stick my phone at the end of a stick, and I can swirl it around myself going crazy. That's cool. But it's always the actual concept of what happens in the video clip, because performance video clips, they're great, but I like something that is I like something that's got some weird twist in it or weird plot. Although I will say, I was watching MTV TV the other day, and there's a video of a guy, and he's doing this little dance. Diane, you could probably tell me who that is. And he's just doing this little dance. And I think my camera just crashed, but I don't care. And it was brilliant. And it was just it was just always shot dark, soft. It is what it is. That's the band. It was great. And it was just a really cool, endearing idea. It was wonderful. Raz, hit me, baby.
I think that the two shortcuts are, well, it's not even a shortcut, but the only way in that I've found to saying, okay, this is worthy of shooting and bothering to drag camera gear out, is to find a spectacular or interesting or unique or appropriate location for the song. Like knowing that visually this is going to take care of it goes a long way if you don't have a story. And Carl, you said it about the story being very simple, a three-part, inciting action, conflict, and resolution kind of arc made out of just whatever props you can get at Hobby Lobby, and you've got a thing. So if you can't pull together, if you can't get to a location that is absolutely unique and doesn't say something about the song, and you can't put a story together that's simply executed and supports the narrative in your lyric, that dance thing is a great solution if that's something you can do. And even if it's something that you can't do, that can be some of the charm. And I'm not sure about the video you're referencing. Like maybe this was a person that's not a dancer, but they had a choreographer come in and be like, all right, here's your moves. And they did a two move thing, and it was maybe sold it. So there's a lot of ways.
It's by Dark Stuff. And Diana just put the link in the chat. I just posted it everywhere. By the way, let me know how the video is going, because I know we're skipping a bit. It's this fucking Canon. Trying something new, whatever. Yeah, it's that's the whole thing, is that how do you come up with something that is, that's interesting, or
I see what you're talking about. So that location is kind of priceless with that sort of 70s modern school looking place.
There's a whole bunch of different locations. Skip through.
Yeah,
he just keeps going to different places. And it reminds me of Wes Anderson movie.
Yeah.
Where everything's dead center.
Yep.
And this stuff happen. There's a dead center, a box, and a rectangle. Because I'm a bit of a Lynch fan, so everything I do, I like it to have that sort of. I like throwing people into the middle of something where they don't really know what's going on. And part of the resolution will be, well, I'm going to show you what's going on, but it could be something really benign. And you could get away with doing that. But yeah, that's where I'm at the moment, because I'm releasing a new album. I'm out of time, and I want to I want to do something amazing, but it's got to be simple because, you know, LA. You can't shoot in LA. Raz, hit me.
Well, you can't drop sticks in LA, but you can certainly tape a phone camera to your shirt and walk around. You know, if you're not mounting it to a tripod and don't have a crew, run and gun can be achieved even in LA, or inside a car, or out the window of a building that is yours, like, or that somebody invited you into. There's a few ways around that, but like the simplicity angle is so key, because if that makes the difference between getting it done and not getting it done, then obviously that's the way to go. I mean, I happen to have a habit and some also career and professional excuses for collecting gear that I can probably use for other things. So that's fun for me, but it's not the only way. It's not the method, which means I can now make a video because I have this stuff. And this example that you've shared of a very lo-fi framing is just, 3-point vanish, perspective, straight on, nothing's really straight, it's low. It might be even a real official VHS camcorder, not an effect. That's entirely possible.
I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, there's absolute the other way. Are you, Diana, are you referring to the Blue Hour as the band? Okay. But that was the next thing, is also time of day makes all the difference. If you can shoot during blue or golden hour, and incorporate that time of day sort of thing into your visuals, then man, that's like 80% of the way toward not worrying about if you've got a good camera or a bad camera, as long as you know how to work the bad effect of, the lo-fi look and really lean into that, or at least lock the white balance and focus and gain iris by, either tap holding on your screen in the area that you want it to be exposed for. There's little simple things like that you can do, even with your phone camera app, that makes it less phony. But that's a synonym or a homonym, but less phone-like and more just the stuff that you're shooting. It gives you a little more flexibility later when you're deciding how to treat it in the edit.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. So, I mean, like, I can still, and welcome Atom Bomb. I still am very interested to know, how do you come up with concepts? So, I'm asking everyone, how do you come up with a video concept? How do you do it? How? I mean, like, I guess it's similar to how do you write a song, but I don't know. Raz, go.
Steal.
Okay.
I like that. You said Wes Anderson.
Yeah.
Figure out what makes him tick, and you're not going to get the crew, and you're not going to get the cinematographer, and a truck full of lights, but you can certainly get some of the locations and some of the ways that he moves his camera and some of the ways that he points his camera and some of that twee aesthetic, depending on what sweater you decide to wear in the shot.
Right.
That'll go a long way to fulfilling it. And if that's what you like, that's what you like. And just look at what's on the screen, and you put that in your screen too. Yeah.
And you never know, because Bill Murray just might turn up.
Yeah, he'll ask you for a French fry and then walk away.
But my question is, like, before that, like, the actual concept, the elevator pitch of a music video, like, the core thing, sitting down with a notepad going, what happens here? You're telling somebody, the elevator pitch, what happens? Like that's the bit that always I find so hard.
I'm not kidding when I say I had no idea on the last video that I shot 6 months ago, beginning of the year. I had a location in mind. I knew which song it was. I didn't know what I was going to do on screen. And I think you and Mez were left in the chat afterward, and we talked about it. And I said, I don't know what to do. And you said, go, take a thing that comes apart in 3 pieces and reassemble it. And that was the whole thing. That was all I needed.
I still really want to see that video.
I would.
Put it in the chat, and I'll
I'll throw a link to it.
Thank you.
YouTube.com/ushreek. I'll type it.
And the actual link to the video itself. I'd love to see it. That would be great.
Cool.
Thank you. Awesome.
But
go ahead.
The other thing is, just before I wrap it up, there is a traditional shooting script style storyboarding and blocking and stuff that can get the creative juices flowing, even if you're just connecting what seems like almost no idea. If you've got a pose and you've got another scene, that could be enough of a kernel. Once you switch from the mode of thinking about it to sketching it out on paper, what goes in between those two? How do I get from this thought to that thought? And even if those two thoughts were so vague as to not constitute motivation, not to bring motivation to shoot a video, how do you get between those? How do you complete that as a story? Is there a common thread through them that now you can fill in with several other shots? I'm not going to say that I've found success in doing exactly that, but it is one of the tricks. I mean, once you've started with the, steal from somebody you like, and then find something unique in a location, and then find a couple of vague ideas and a way to connect them, you might be onto something after that.
Okay, I'm going to throw it out there, and welcome, Red Jack. Sorry, Jack Red. So if you have a basic idea, I always like to get on public transport if it's safe, and let the conversations around me and the people inspire me. You might also want to go to a diner, and you might want to walk around that diner and look at the trash cans, and look at the cars pulling into it, and just sit in that diner and think about where it comes from. Because, we always talk about how the creation of a song should be a fun process, because fuck it. So the creation of a video should be a fun process too, where you hold on a minute. Did you put it up there, Rez? Not yet. Just let me know when it's up there. Have fun. Get yourself out of your studio, out of your home. Put yourself into a different environment, which has got different inspiration and different things to colors, lights, people, sounds, conversations, smells. I'm all about diners, man. I'm telling you. For some reason right now, all I want to do is be in a fucking Chicago diner. I really need that right now. And just write down ideas. And it's a journey. And it might be a really simple journey. Just think about it. There you go. There's a thought. That's all I got. Does anybody want to throw in on this? Of course, for inspiration, coffee and cigarettes movie. Yes. Someone just put a link in there. I don't know what that is. That was your link? Is that your video? Okay.
Yeah, I threw it in the YouTube chat too.
Thank you very much. I will throw it in everybody's thing. That's Rezzy's video. Go have a look. Yeah. Hey, so here's another question. Super Tablespoon, welcome. Why don't people take promotion and Spotify seriously? Why don't they? Why, when I'm working with a band or something and I say, hey, what's your Spotify link? I go to their channel and they have 20 or 100 fucking monthly listens. And they say, oh, I don't take that seriously. I focus on Bandcamp. Why? Vince, go. Good to see you, by the way.
Yeah, good to see you too. Spotify has got a reputation a little bit in the way a lot of smaller record companies and artists talk about them like they're ripping off artists. So a lot of newer artists coming up are looking at Spotify going, well, if they're not going to be paying me what I should be getting paid per stream, I'm not going to worry about Spotify. And a lot of them put their things on Tidal or Deezer. Ends up being the ones that they say pay the best. The problem with that is Spotify is where you get the most exposure. So you've got the best shot at getting exposure because it's the biggest platform. So I don't think you should really discount Spotify, but a lot of people do because they feel like they make more money other places. And also, I think it depends on what genre of music you're working with, because Spotify seems to work out okay for most things. But if you're a little more niche in hip-hop culture or electronic dance music, like not so dark stuff, you're going to run into more Deezer and Tidal being the places where you're probably going to get more results, because that's where the audience for that kind of thing is a little more concentrated.
Can I ask you, so Deezer would be more into industrial?
No, Deezer would probably be more into like standard EDM.
All right, cool.
Spotify, honestly, is the only place I even can find industrial music by looking for industrial music specifically.
Yeah.
And anywhere else doesn't seem to know what that is, or they've got like 3 or 4 bands maybe that you'll come up with in search results.
Yeah. I think the problem with a lot... I'm sorry, dude. Keep going. I always appreciate your input on this stuff.
The other thing, I don't know, promotion, why people don't take promotion seriously, there are so many scam promoters that are just... Seriously, go look at my Instagram and look at the comments on my Instagram. Almost every single thing I post gets 3 to 4 comments from somebody telling me, DM me and all for promotion. And I go read the DM, and it's obvious, they've got 4 followers, and they want me to pay them to grow my Instagram account.
Okay, thank you. I was watching the Spotify Masterclass this week, and it also partly my eternal bashing of my head against a wall trying to get bands to promote themselves on Spotify, and we can all grow together in a collective manner. But I think I've actually given up on that now because... anyway, yeah, I was watching this masterclass and they were saying how they will not accept submissions from, for example, Submit Hub. That if you pay Submit Hub to submit your music to Spotify playlists or anyone else, that shit does not get accepted. Because that's against Spotify's terms and agreements. That may have changed recently, but I know the only way you can like pay to get more fucking push is through Spotify's own marquee, the marquee tool, which is another kettle of fish, but I don't really want to talk about that right now. I haven't used it, that's why I don't want to talk about it. But it was really fascinating that I got this quote from this PR company in England, and they said, "Oh, we love your stuff." They always say that. It's like this copy and pasted email. "You're really great, but we could help you get more places." And I was reading through it going, okay, these guys actually know what they're talking about. I was looking at it, and I did some background research on it, and I went, okay, maybe. And then I got to the part where it talked about Spotify, and they were saying basically $1,200. And they would do this total 4-week Spotify push. And then I realized, you know what, man, if I was doing my own marquee promotion on Spotify, I could do more for cheaper. And I emailed them back and I said, look, man, and then I watched the Spotify Masterclass, and they said, if anybody else is charging you for Spotify plays who isn't Spotify, we do not accept it. And for me to pay $1,200, I would have to be getting 60,000 additional plays over the period of a month or two for me to make my money back. It's just Spotify's their pre-release push tool, I think, is incredible. I have had so much luck with it, and we've talked about it here a few times. So I've got thoughts about what Spotify plays you, but people who want to whine about what Spotify pay you have obviously never received a royalty check from AMCOS, or BMI, after you having played your fucking single on a reach of 1 million people, on a radio station of 1 million people. It's a couple of cents. whereas Spotify will pay you much more than that. But this is a rabbit hole that I don't really know if I could be fucked getting into. Rezi, I see your hand go.
I just wanted to take it back one step to sort of sharpen focus on a couple of the terms. You can have your stuff on Spotify. Your distributor will put it there and they will be able to play it. That might be all you want to do. That might be the entire marketing effort that you put in. The next level is, before release, you can submit your track for editorial consideration to get it on New Music Fridays, or one step above just the New Music playlists, ones that have a curated hand from somebody who works for Spotify. And that's legit also. It's a thing that you can do with a couple of clicks before your song comes out. Then the next tier that we're talking about, and I've encountered this also, are user playlists that are also editorial and curated. Well, curated anyway. I think editorial might be the wrong word. And those curators sometimes, I would say almost always, when you approach them, if you can find them on social media or otherwise, will say, yeah, I'll put you on my playlist. That's great. $20 for 1 week, or $150 for top placement on the first spot. And that is what Spotify doesn't condone and asks you to then report them if they ask you for that. The gray market area, some of the websites that allow you to become a member for money and then for free will submit it to people that are also members, and those people might have playlists but they might not, so it's not really illegal according to Spotify. Also, Spotify disavows verbally, and I didn't attend the last the webinar that you were referencing, Carl, but my assumption is that they're saying also those are not gray anymore, and that is definitely black and white. No, we don't take submissions that were paid for with a subscription to a service that gives consideration for playlists. And so what we're left with is the answer to your question about why some artists are ignoring Spotify for promotion is because it's fucking hard. It's a lot of work. You've got to go through a lot of playlists, and this being the main way to increase your monthly listens or your follows or whatever, you have got to approach a lot of playlist curators and see if they're legit and see if they're not going to ask for payola, and then network with them and be cool and get to be understanding that this is a kind of playlist that your music should even be on, rather than just approaching people casting a very wide net. And yeah, there's a lot of other ways you can spend your marketing hours and your social media hours that may feel a little more rewarding than the 0.02 cents that you get per stream. Anyway, that's a long way around to getting to the point of, I think it is time consuming and difficult and fraught with the pitfalls of things that can ruin your reputation from Spotify's perspective on Spotify and cause them to no longer promote you and put you into rotation.
Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you. I'll shoot my mouth off after Vince. Thank you, Vince. Vince, you're muted, baby. Vince.
All right, gotcha. Thing about Spotify is if you do pay for plays, I can pretty much 98% guarantee you will not get paid for those plays. Because most places that charge you money to get Spotify plays use bots to get those plays. And Spotify has an algorithm that goes through and checks, and if it sees you've got 10,000 to 100,000 plays, but that's only from 100 accounts, they're going to cancel all of that. You will not get paid a cent for any of those streams. And that happens, and then, like Raz said, you lose your reputation with Spotify. They're not going to want to promote you anymore. So that's what I was saying about the fake promoters. I get that all the time. I'm offered that constantly. And you know, at first it seems real tempting because you're like, yeah, all right, I'll give you $25 to get a couple thousand plays on Spotify. It might seem like a good idea, but I'm glad I've researched because it's really not. You could lose your entire Spotify profile and have to start all over.
And not to mention what that does for your affinity acts that you're similar to and like when you're tossed on a playlist with botted random garbage. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think my complaint, it goes a step further to why don't artists promote? Like, why look, man, I fucking know it's hard. It's really hard promoting what you do. And it's soul destroying promoting what you do. But, you know, if you choose to do this, then you got to do it. And, you know, part of my despair as I scream into the void is that, you know, it's so hard finding bands that will say, yes, we will have a collective mentality to something and we will push this thing and we will constantly push this thing too. So it's just not our name, it just not my band's name, but it's our name, the collective. And yeah, it's like, I don't know, man. It's just real fucking hard. It's the same thing with, like, you know, bands just not, I don't know. I'm just sort of, it's just really hard. It's just hard. And it's hard finding people who will push it, and they don't say they'll push it. Oh yeah, man, I'll push it. And then they don't. It's people who will actually do it is real hard. I guess that's really not going anywhere. I'm just bitching right now. So yeah, I'm going to try out that Spotify marquee, and I'll tell you how it goes. Amazon has also got a push your shit onto Amazon Music feature, which is free. Amazon is trying really hard to, you know, get a foothold, obviously. It's really funny that I don't see anything at all with fucking Apple Music. Not a thing. If anybody knows of... Oh, okay, Resi, I'll just throw it to you. What's going on with Apple?
Apple Music just revamped their interface, and they've got a few more tools, but they're never going to be the pandering to indie artists kind of... Well, I don't never say never, but it's just not their style. They're more take some mid-level profile promotion executives to lunch and make deals that way kind of team than you know, open up the system with the admission that we love indie artists and actual, you know, fully truly non-signed, and you know, it's just not so much the Apple way. But I also just wanted to jump back to when you're talking about the marquee feature on Spotify, is that the one where you add video loop to your track?
No, it's actually pay. You pay for, I think it's called marquee. I can't remember.
I thought marquee was the video. But
maybe it's called Canvas. It's the one where you actually pay for a marketing push, and it's pretty fucking horrendous. But
interesting.
I want to have a look at it. I want to have a look at it.
Were you rubbed the wrong way by how they described it, and it just didn't seem like a good deal, or?
The problem I've had was with another agency that came in. I looked at the price breakdown of marquee, which I've got somewhere, and it's pretty fucking steep. But what they're claiming is that it's going to help you get like long-term fans. And I am well. Here's the thing to remember. Like, yeah, sure. I don't know either. I just think a lot of PR is just bullshit. And it's funny that PR and marketing is a job that is set up by people who do PR and marketing, so they're really good at swindling folks like you and me. The thing you got to remember is that, you know, there is a chance, and I always say it's about a 1% of people who listen to you or are in your audience are going to support you on a Kickstarter, or if you release something, they will buy something from you. I've sort of found that that's almost an amount you can bank on. Actually, it's 0.5%. That's just me though. So, yeah, so I'm just sort of, you know, because I know everybody is in this fucking ocean of static noise screaming that we're drowning in, which is funny because that's hell. An ocean of screaming. That's hell. So here we are in hell, trying to get heard above all the other screaming. Vince, I see your hand, unless Rosie, we're halfway through a conversation. Tell me. Or can I throw it to Vince, or do you want?
I just wanted to see if you could throw a link in to the for the feature that you're talking about. That was it. No.
I will look for it. I think it's called Canvas. I'm pretty sure it's called Canvas. But when you go into the back end of your Spotify, you'll notice that there is space to. I think it's in beta now or something. I don't know. Blah blah blah. Vince. Hit me.
Alright, I find the mute button again. Another reason that promoting artists are not so much into promoting is because it costs money, because you get buried if you're not paying for ads. So your organic promotion through your social media becomes very difficult because that takes money to do. And if you're not already bringing in money when you start, how do you generate that money to pay for more advertising to gain more audience? It should be about gaining the audience first and then getting money. And the problem is the way the system is oriented and the way the algorithms through the social media is oriented, you have to pay before you get seen. You can't get seen first and then pay to get seen more. Really, like that works for about 1 in every 5 million people, if you're lucky. Otherwise, you pay for it. You got to pay for advertising, and the best way to do that is to pay Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever service you're using for their promotion, because they will know based on what you post what other people what people that have not seen it may be interested in seeing it. But money becomes the barrier there. Speaking of money being the barrier there, I'm gonna hijack you guys for just a minute, because I have stickers and I have pins, merch, sell merch. See, that's one of the things you got to do to try to get money. And I also still have usually CDs left that are on my Bandcamp, all of that. And I got a Teespring store.
Put a link in the bio. Put a link in the chat, and I'll share it.
Give me just a moment, and I will do that.
All right, cool.
I'll just throw my link tree up there because it's got my Teespring, my Bandcamp, all my streaming stuff, everything.
Awesome.
Breaking things today. That was awesome.
I'm all about breaking stuff. Yes. Awesome. Okay, Raz, I see your voice.
Canvas is the thing where you can add a little looping piece of video clip to your song, and it surfaces in different areas on different devices. And Marquee is indeed something that I'm not aware of yet, a feature for promoting with visuals. So I'll look into that. I just dropped a link in the YouTube chat.
Because I just put that up there. Because there's another one as well, which is marketing. I can't view it right now just for reasons. There's another one that is marketing, just like straight up pushing your track to other places. And yes, obviously MTV TV. Yay. And that's another thing, is like we if you do a stream, raid to MTV TV when you're done. How about every 2 weeks or something you go, hey, remember to watch MTV TV in your socials. Just we've got this really excellent thing that we've got to keep going. does anybody else have anything amazing they want to throw in? Any questions or any amazingness? I see your hand.
This is, I hope Diana will bring some comments about Ableton Live Lite to the group soon, because I'm kind of excited about hearing how that's going and from your perspective, what it's like.
I will definitely bring those questions once I get into it a little more.
All right, cool. Because that would be fun. That would be very fun. Unless anybody has anything else they want to bring up, which they're absolutely welcome to, we're going to raid to MTV TV. And it's really awesome, and you need to fucking tell everyone about it. And if you've got a video, you should put it on there. And if you're having trouble with a video, I guess hang out here and we'll figure something out. Actually, when we're done, if everyone can hang around on the Zoom, because I got a concept and I want to throw it at you. Let's raid. And I thank everybody very much for being part of this, and you bloody rock. And oh, hey, there's Vince's thing. Thank you, Vince. Boom. There it is. Jump on Vince's thing because it's amazing. Thank you so much for watching. And we're back here this time next week, as always. And I think Space Couch is tomorrow. But for now, we're going to MTV TV. You rock. Bye. 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 Bye.